It sounds absolutely wild today, doesn't it? Two countries, constantly on the verge of open war, were once not just allies, but, get this, incredibly close friends. Believe it or not, this is the hidden story of a relationship that most of history has completely forgotten.
So, the big question is, were Iran and Israel always enemies? I mean, it seems like a pretty easy yes, right? Well, what if I told you that answer is completely wrong? Okay, let's really dig into this because the truth is so much more complex and way more interesting than you could ever imagine.
That's right. They were once best friends. I'm not kidding. For decades, these two were sharing secrets, trading weapons, and basically had a shared game plan for the whole Middle East. This wasn't some minor thing, some historical footnote. No, this was a deep, powerful alliance. So, how on earth did it all begin?
Okay, to really get a grip on this forgotten friendship, we've got to go back in time. We're talking about a very, very different Middle East. This was a moment when the whole map of the region was basically being torn up and redrawn, with new powers literally rising from the dust of old empires.
So, picture this. After World War I, the massive Ottoman Empire, gone. The British step in, and at the same time, this powerful new idea, Arab nationalism, starts sweeping across the entire region. And right in the middle of all this chaos, in 1948, a brand new nation is born, the State of Israel. And its creation, well, it changed absolutely everything.
And this is really where their paths split, based on two totally different ways of seeing the world. For the Arab world, Israel was the #1 threat, right from the get-go. But for Iran, led by Shah Pahlavi, there was a much bigger long-term fear, a single powerful bloc of Arab nations that could totally sideline Iran's own influence in the region.
So what you had here were the perfect ingredients for, you could call it, an alliance of outsiders. Think about it. Both Iran and Israel were non-Arab countries in a neighborhood that was becoming more and more defined by this idea of pan-Arab unity. They were both surrounded, and you know what? They really needed each other.
And this thinking led to the core strategy behind the whole thing. It was called the Periphery Doctrine, and it was championed by Israel's very first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion. The logic was super simple. If all the countries right next to you are hostile, well, you just leapfrog them and make friends with their neighbors. And for Israel, the biggest, most important friend on the periphery was, you guessed it, Iran.
And look, this alliance was all about pure pragmatism. For the Shah, it was a 3-for-1 deal. First, he got access to amazing Israeli technology to modernize Iran. Second, he got a powerful partner to push back against popular Arab leaders like Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser. And third, it made him look great to the United States. And remember, after a CIA-backed coup in 1953, the US really wanted its two best friends in the region to play nice.
And oh, did they get along. I mean, this wasn't just some polite handshake deal. It absolutely blossomed into what you could call a secret golden age. We're talking deep, deep cooperation on everything. Intelligence, the military, the economy, and it all kicked off with a really bold political move.
I mean, this was a massive deal. In 1950, Iran became only the second Muslim-majority country to basically recognize Israel. Now, they kept it kind of quiet, but this allowed Israel to open a huge mission right in Tehran. Okay, so it wasn't officially an embassy. You wouldn't see a flag flying outside, but let's be real. Everyone knew exactly what was going on in that building.
And the cooperation went way deeper, into the shadows. We're talking about Israel's Mossad helping to train the Shah's feared secret police, the SAVAK. They were sharing top-secret intelligence on all their common enemies, from communist spies to Arab militants. This was the real deal, a fully functioning military and intelligence partnership.
Okay, and here comes the ultimate historical irony. You ready for this? The very same Iranian nuclear program that causes so much tension today, it was actually started with help from the United States as part of this Atoms for Peace program. And at the time, Israel basically gave it a nod of approval. A nuclear Iran, under their friend the Shah, was seen as a good thing, a strategic asset for the West.
Wow. Now, on the economic side, the absolute backbone of this friendship was oil. And they had a problem. How do you get Iranian oil to Israel and then onto Europe when all the countries in between are your enemies? Well, the solution was brilliant and secretive. They built a pipeline right across Israel. This wasn't just about buying and selling stuff. This was shared infrastructure, a literal, concrete symbol of how tight they were.
So let's just recap how deep this went. It was built on shared intelligence.
It was forged with shared weapons.
It was fueled by a secret river of shared oil.
And it was even looking toward a future with shared nuclear technology. I mean, honestly, it seemed like this alliance was absolutely unbreakable.
But of course, history had other ideas. A single, seismic event was just around the corner. An event that wouldn't just shatter this friendship, but would completely redefine the Middle East for the rest of our lives. The year was 1979. The Iranian Revolution. The Shah is forced out, Ayatollah Khomeini comes back from exile, and the Islamic Republic is born. In a flash, everything, and I mean everything, changed.
And the change was just total and immediate. It was like flipping a switch. Overnight, Israel goes from being a strategic ally to being branded an enemy of Islam. And in this one hugely symbolic move, the new government literally handed the keys to the old Israeli mission in Tehran straight to the Palestinian Liberation Organization. The message couldn't have been clearer.
So you think that's the end of the story, right? Friendship, totally dead. The public speeches were full of hate, the old ties were cut. It really seemed like the final chapter was written. But you know, history always has one last twist up its sleeve. Get this, even after the revolution, in the 1980s, when Iran was invaded by Saddam Hussein's Iraq, guess who was secretly selling them weapons to keep them in the fight? Israel. That's right. And why? Because for Israel, a victory for Saddam's Iraq was seen as an even bigger threat. That old logic, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, it was still kicking, even if it was buried deep under all this new revolutionary ideology.
But that was really the last gasp of the old relationship. As Iran's power grew under this new, hostile government, and as its nuclear program started moving forward again, Israel's view changed for good. The old secret friendship twisted and morphed into the shadow war we see playing out today. This bitter, ugly conflict fought with cyber attacks, sabotage, and proxy fighters all across the region.
So, what's the big takeaway from this incredible, almost unbelievable story? Well, maybe it's this powerful truth about how the world really works. In geopolitics, there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemies. There are only interests. And when those interests change, yesterday's closest friend can easily become tomorrow's deadliest enemy.